That's all the season wrote. In Connecticut, we are done with the sugar making process. In fact, I've been done for a few weeks now. It hasn't been the greatest season, but it was still a really cool season. So as I closed down and cleaned all the buckets, put everything away, or most of the stuff away, I come to reflect with Thorns and Roses. So as I unpack the 2025 sugar making season, I do have a few thorns, and I have a lot of roses too, with a bud that I'm excited to tell you about. As you can see, got behind me a little preview what that might be. Let me start with the thorns. So thorn one, pretty obvious, especially if you're from the Connecticut, New England area. The sap yield. Not great. Not great. I had 84 taps out there, and I have red maple trees, not on vacuum. I had red maples on gravity buckets, so it doesn't get as much yield as a sugar maple. But the 84 taps I thought was going to give me like 400 gallons of sap, especially last year. Yeah, I got 78 gallons of sap across 84 taps. Not great. And that yielded about 0.9 gallons of syrup. Last year, I had 31 taps on the same trees, and I got well over 125 gallons that yielded over 1.5 gallons of syrup. So I scaled up, I've done a lot of things, and I just didn't get the yield I was looking for. So that's kind of thorn one. Thorn two, I made myself a homemade vacuum filter. It sounded great. It conceptually was going to be great, but it was an epic fail. In fact, it was a tragedy because I tried to get the vacuum to work. It didn't work. And I used diatomaceous earth thinking that, I'm going to bind some of the impurities and really filter this out like the pros. Yeah, I should have tested out the filter even more and ran a lot more tests before going to my production run with it. So I lost just about 0.5 gallon of syrup doing this. Why? Because I went to pull the pots apart to fix and adjust the vacuum filter. And as I did, I grossly underestimated the coefficient of friction or overestimated, I should say. And I pulled the pots too far apart, spilled my bounty all over the kitchen, behind the stove, in between the stove and the counter, all over my wood floors. And this was around 10, 11 o'clock at night. I think it was like 10:30 at night on a school night, if you will. And yeah, I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning cleaning that up. So that was a thorn, ladies and gentlemen. That was a big, big, big thorn. But I have some roses. In fact, I have a lot of roses. My first rose, by far, this is going to sound really corny, but hear me out. I became a bona fide member of the Maple Syrup Producers Association of Connecticut. I know that sounds corny. I got a membership card, the whole 9 yards. It was $40. And what that did, despite everything that I've read and researched online, I was able to talk to real producers, the people that are doing this professionally and other hobbyists around the state of Connecticut. So I went to a training session, the preseason training, where it was like an all-day thing. And I got to network with people, see some different setups and different ways of doing things, and learn a heck of a lot about the power of bacteria, for example, of how that can spoil sap and spoil your syrup, and how that makes a huge difference when sugar making. So that was by far number one. And that introduced me to number two. Can you see it over here? Which is my liter half pint evaporator. I like to call it 3000 with Supreme Pan. I was able to network with someone at this preseason maple syrup meeting, and I got a discount, and I bought it with 10-15% off, which I thought was pretty good. I was able to pick it up from the person in Connecticut. It was like 40 minutes away, threw it in the back of the car, and brought it home. And it has a continuous flow evaporator pan, and that really improved the speed of my boil. That was a huge help. And it was a lot of fun too. I've always wanted a continuous flow pan, just like the pros. And so I felt really cool about it. So that was rose number two. Rose number three was I made my own homemade RO system, reverse osmosis filtering system. What that does is it filters out, separates out the sugar content from the sap, getting rid of a lot of the water, and it reduced my boil time by more. It it more than cut my boil time. I was planning to get my 1.25%, 1.5% sugar content in the sap out of the trees. I was hoping to get up to 3%. I far exceeded my expectation. I got 6-7% sugar content in my sap by making this homemade RO system. It cost me about $400 to make, and I got all the things at a local hardware store, on Amazon, online, and put it together. It took me like an hour and a half to put it together, and it worked. It really worked. And I strongly recommend that for anyone that's a hobbyist like me. You can easily make one of those things. And if you want to save on time, a lot of time, that's the way to go. Only downside is when you don't have a lot of sap, you can only do so much of it. And so that kind of hurt how I boiled, but still it was fun, and it was incredible to use that. What is that? Number 4, the fourth thing that I've done was I got more buckets. I put out more taps in there. Last year, like I said earlier, I had 31 taps. This year, 84 taps. And I got more buckets, but I also got these big barrels. The barrels made it so much easier for me to bring all the sap, consolidate it, RO it, boil it, and get it into production. Those are my Thorns and Roses, which leads me to the bud. So what's the bud? What am I looking forward to? Well, the thing that I did is when I boiled the sap, I did it outside. And that's okay. It worked out all right. You know, I had a tarp and all that stuff. But I want to keep this very expensive continuous flow evaporator outside all year long. I need a shelter. So that is what this is all about. My goal, my bud, my plan for the summer is to build a Sugar Shack, Nature Center, and Family Pavilion. I can't justify building a whole building, an accessory building on my property for just making maple syrup. I'm only going to use that 1 month out of the year. But what I can justify is putting a workshop in there, putting a pavilion in there with 2 picnic tables that we can use most of the season, a workshop in there for tinkering and all that stuff, doing some light woodwork, a little lounge in there, a little kitchenette in there. So that is the vision. I'll post another video on how I'm going to build this thing and some of the considerations. And my goal is, as I build it, I want to document it. I want to throw it on YouTube and help other people that are interested in this sort of thing learn how to build a building. And I'll build it myself and go from there. So that's it. That's the wrap up of the 2025 maple syrup season right here in Connecticut at the Mews Forest. I'm Brian. I'm always happy that you're watching, and hopefully this video is helpful to other people. Maybe not. I'm not a professional, although I got this new lav mic, so that has to count for something. But again, I'm not the best at this YouTube stuff. I'm not about the views or the likes. So look, everyone says like and subscribe. Do what you want. If you want to subscribe, subscribe. If you don't. I just want to give back to folks because I use YouTube all the time to research things and to learn things from others and to learn what not to do. So hopefully you've learned what not to do and you've learned some good tips. That's it. Happy sugaring out there.